In 1922, when the last emperor of China, Puyi, was just about to get married, the imperial court got a shock. Because Puyi, the emperor, he refused to take a concubine in addition to his wife. It is Reginald Johnston that in this book, Twilight in the Forbidden City, is telling us this story. He's saying that Puyi felt that it was an antiquated custom to take all of these concubines. But the court was desperate for him to add women into the court because for them it was also about tradition and not least prestige. But the emperor himself, he felt that a Western modern style monarch should not do this. So it took all of the persuasion abilities of the court and the people around the emperor to finally make him take one single concubine. Interestingly enough, just a couple of years down the line, this woman Wen Shu would become the only woman in Chinese history to be granted a divorce from an emperor. At the moment, in the Beijing Postcards book club, we are reading Peking, a Social Survey by Sidney Gamble. And in this book, Sidney Gamble actually also has some very interesting input into this discussion, because he's saying, yes, on the one hand, in society, in the 1920s, you did have a lot of people that was against people taking secondary wives. But on the other hand, you also had a lot of people that had made sort of good use of the opportunity that the emperor had abdicated, and now private citizens were actually free to sort of take a lot of wives in a way that they had not been before. So he's saying, in a rather gossipy tone, that some officials would add a new wife to their house every month. And a friend of his had a chef, a cook in his house, that he actually realized that even though this guy had a very meager, a very sort of small salary, he was out of this money supporting three wives. So on the one hand, you had sort of an uproar against taking a secondary wife, and on the other hand, you have a lot of people that actually did it anyway. These discussions were taking place in Chinese society all the way until the communists came. In 1949, all of these discussions were suddenly silenced, when in 1950, the Communist Party was pretty much making one party, one woman, the sort of rule in mainland China. But when we talk about China, Hong Kong was at this point not yet returned to mainland China. And here we find a very interesting thing, because this place that was still managed by the British had for a very long time discussed taking secondary wives, and already in 1843 was it suggested that this rule should be abolished. But it would take 128 years till it was implemented.